VigilanteWilliamson here with another wrestling video. I already did the top 5 reasons why WWE should not sign CM Punk, and I owe you the top 5 reasons why they should. But right now I want to talk about Tony Khan and AEW, and this gets into why I lapsed as a fan. I feel that AEW and Khan have a thing where they cannot accept any bit of criticism whatsoever. I could go back as far as me getting a copyright strike on my other channel because I criticized the entrance of one of the Joshi wrestlers they had, one of these stupid idol wrestler entrances, and I made fun of it. It was fair use. They copyright struck my channel. That strike has been removed, but it was indicative of how they do things. It was a bunch of other channels who got struck. This is a couple years ago. I think they got Botchamania. This was in that reign. I want to say 2021, 2022. And my channel was one of the many, even though I don't cover wrestling that often, that got hit. But I'm not even going to go there. We can just stick with this year. Fight Forever, AEW's game, a opportunity to onboard new fans, an opportunity to feed the fans that you have, something that a lot of people were excited about, something that I believe was even talked about in the initial press conference for AEW. And they never completed that game. For all intents and purposes, they released it, but they haven't been supporting it. They don't answer questions on it. They don't answer any criticism. There's no developer map. They just released it, and people have paid $80 for like the Elite Edition, and no support. They just don't support the game. It was completely a waste of money for those fans who bought it. I haven't played it myself, so you know, I'll say that, but I have used footage. I'm probably going to use footage from one of the many people on YouTube. Thank you for the Creative Commons who allow your gameplay to be used. And it does not seem like an optimized game because the loading screens seem insane, especially for the graphical fidelity and this being a full price game. Usually, if you lose graphical fidelity, you usually have a game that operates better and that loads better, but that's not the case for this. So this game wasn't optimized. There's glitches in gameplay. There is no support, and they do not answer any questions on Twitter. Despite Tony being known for his Twitter, there's no questions being answered, no support, no developer map. And that's not all on him. I'm sure Use and THQ are also their share of the blame, but it's indicative again of how AEW runs. No criticism affects us. You must be a bot. If you're criticizing us, you can only be a bot. And honestly, that's the issue with online discourse in general. We'll get to that a little bit later. And then you have a very recent thing, All In. How can you mess up getting 72,000 people into a building? Well, you tell everyone you got 81,000. And I know WWE, they saw the number too. They messed up the number. Stop comparing yourself to WWE. People criticize WWE too. They are not above reproach, and we'll get into them later on in this video. So yes, they put hot sauce on their number, but why are you doing it? 72,000 people going to All In is incredible. You didn't need to add hot sauce to the number. You didn't need to, I'm not sure what the record was. You didn't need to do all that. What's wrong with saying, man, we got 72,000 people here in Wembley Stadium to pay. It was an incredible event. Cool. But nope, gotta add hot sauce to it. And then you have Moxley and Phoenix. Moxley, one of your big stars, gets hurt in a spot where the referee or Phoenix should have known better. Instead of saying, hey, we're gonna learn from this, we're gonna learn how to handle when something goes wrong. I'm not sure if AEW has the same sort of setup as WWE, where there's somebody in the back who has contact with the referee, but we're going to make sure we protect our athletes, especially because we have a tougher style and a more risky style. So we got to make sure we protect our athletes, and we're going to shore up that. No, they're sitting there copyright striking Stevie Richards, who was explaining what went wrong. They can't accept any criticism. Nothing is ever wrong. They are never at fault for anything. And then we get to this week. And I know there's a lot of other stuff I could have went to, but I'm trying to keep this video at least under 10 minutes. We get to this week, and there is this big showdown on Tuesday with NXT and AEW. We're partying like it's 2019, it seems. And NXT wins by a sizable margin. And instead of accepting defeat, instead of being gracious in defeat, you have, the infamous bald assholes tweet. You have this other tweet that is such an indictment. It just shows the lack of self-awareness this guy has, where he talks about how John Cena and Undertaker have never appeared on a show with so few fans or under 1 million fans, which may not be true. Shout out to, I think OTRS Central said something about tribute to the troops maybe have had lower ratings than this. But even still, what does that say about all the WWE wrestlers that you've signed, and by the way, that you tried to counter program with, because most of your card had WWE wrestlers? I don't think Edge had ever been in a match, at least on TV, with this few viewers. Probably every other wrestler that you signed from WWE, at least main roster wrestler, has a similar story. So what does that say about your program, that you usually set the ratings floor for whatever wrestler comes in there? But you don't even think about that, because self-awareness, self-reflection, accepting fault is impossible. And then I want to get to a tweet that happened, I think, the day or two after. And I do feel a little bit for Tony, even though this seems kind of sociopathic. Where he talks about his mom being sick, and he talks about being trolled by WWE fans, which, listen, in online discourse, and this goes for anything, whether it's political, racial, gender-based, I do think people need to stop taking the worst case scenario of a group and then extrapolating that as that this is how the whole group thinks. As a lapsed fan, I didn't even know anything about Tony's mom's health issues. So when you talk about that, and I don't even have a Twitter, and this is actually one of the reasons I don't have a Twitter. I think it encourages you to look for negative discourse. There's something about the feedback loop of Twitter that I just don't vibe with, and I don't think it's that effective of a marketing tool, at least not anymore. But anyways, I understand being upset about those fans. That's very toxic. That's fucked up. I'm not justifying those fans doing that. But it's also pretty toxic to bring it up for sympathy after you said all these crazy tweets. You also brought up stuff about Vince McMahon's impropriety. And listen, I'm not trying to get sued. A lot of people are wondering if you have a substance abuse issue. And that's been a widely spread joke in the community for a while. So people in glass houses throwing stones. And I've even heard rumors that, how do we say this? Some of the female wrestlers know how to get ahead in the business, if you catch my drift. So again, I don't know if that's true either, but people in glass houses. So yeah, going back to Tony's mom, very sad situation. I'm glad that she's better, but using that for sympathy is weak. And then saying that he hates WWE for conducting business during this time. I mean, were they supposed to stop their business? Ask your dad, who actually owns AEW, by the way, not Tony. Shahid Khan owns AEW. Tony Khan just runs it. But actually, I'm sure he's had to deal with some tough business situations, going through tough personal situations. It sucks, but this time of year, which is a year anniversary for his mom being sick, this time of year is toward the end of the year, so that means contracts are going to be up pretty soon. So yeah, I think WWE is in its right to send out feelers, toward the end of the year to see whose contracts are up. So, I mean, I'm sorry, that's very unfortunate, but that's how life goes. People have sick family members that have to go to work, and sometimes they do need to take time off and whatnot. But I don't know what to tell you, guy. Do you want to be competition or not? What do you think competition is? So in all that, in saying all that, I do want to go back to the tweet that he talks about the ratings, that WWE's NXT was not able to get over 1 million. Granted, his program only got around 600,000. I do think that is an issue, and I do think there's a lot of people in the community who believe wrestling is in a boom period, and it's just not. It is mid at best. There's no shame of being mid in this day and age with entertainment, because not everything in entertainment is mid. Just ask Disney, who's looking to sell anything that's not tied down to the floor after buying up everything that wasn't tied down to the floor. But there's a lot of companies who can't produce consistent mid content and get 1 million to 2 to 3 million people to watch. Wrestling's one of the things that can, hence the big TV deals that WWE has gotten, the rumored TV deal that AEW may get for Warner Brothers Discovery. But wrestling's not at a boom. There's a reason fans like me, laps, come in and out. There's a reason some people are going to see the thumbnail, more wrestling content. A lot of people come here for the boxing stuff and maybe some of the basketball or football stuff. It's not a popular sport. It's not as big as it was even in the Ruthless Aggression era, even in the early PG era. It's not as big. The ratings show that. I know a lot of people hate ratings, but ratings are still an indicator of what the TV execs go by and what the advertisers go by. And I see nice social media numbers, especially on WWE's end, but these aren't like killer social media numbers. They're not like NFL, NBA numbers. I'm sure somebody is going to come up with some stat. Well, there's this. I don't know. It still feels like the NFL is king. It still feels like if I use social media as the indicator, wrestling is still popular, but it has more of a vocal minority. And again, when I say social media, I am not focusing on Twitter. I think Twitter is the wrong platform for any company or any brand to use. I think Instagram, TikTok, and if you consider it YouTube, are much better indicators of health and growth and what people are watching. To the AEW critics, and I can be considered an AEW critic and a WWE critic for that matter, and WWE fans were celebrating not getting 1 million fans for something with The Undertaker and John Cena on it, man. To quote Bad News Barrett, I got some bad news. This is not good. Honestly, WWE still has its set of issues. There's some talk about Endeavor/TKO, the new company that's been formed after their purchase, having some stock issues with Vince McMahon's stock and him selling it and that messing up the price. And so, WWE is in no fertile land of milk and honey themselves. They do have a much better outlook. I know they just got huge payday for SmackDown moving back to USA, and we'll see how that goes. And actually, I think there's some also issues of them trying to get Raw sold. So I mean, I know a lot of people are here to gloat and stun on Tony, and I understand that because Tony's acting like a dick. But man, wrestling is not safe. Wrestling still has issues. Nothing in the entertainment business is safe. So for those fans, I mean, you're celebrating, hooray. I don't know what you're celebrating, my guy. This is not a good indicator. This is not. I'm not a Super Vince diehard. This AEW experiment, though, has made me at least appreciate his wrestling sense. Old Vince, if he was the sole guy still running it, he would not look at this number as a positive. Why couldn't we get over 1 million? Why couldn't we get over 1.5 million? We put The Undertaker on it, for goddamn sake. You know what I mean? So that's an issue. That's an issue. So I know people, the tribalism and us versus them. If we're talking about the wrestling business as a whole, mid at best, and there's a lot to be done. I think wrestling routinely, both sides, especially I think AEW, because of WWE's brand loyalty and thus brand rigidity, they had a bigger opportunity to make a bigger splash in the mainstream. But I think both sides are doing a poor job, and that's with WWE having Logan Paul and Bad Bunny and big stars be a part of wrestling. And hell, having Snoop Dogg impromptu match. I think WrestleMania has been built up, but the rest of the year, I don't think anyone cares about WWE, and they've lost a lot of their luster, and AEW hasn't even gotten that luster. So I really don't think the wrestling business is in that healthy of a spot. But let me get back to Tony and then finish up this video that's gone way too long. If Tony Khan wasn't so insane, I would feel for him, right? Because he clearly can't handle adversity well. I really think he needs to realize, hey, there's no shame in being wrong. There's no shame in learning from your mistakes. It's no, after this Twitter thing, hopefully he says, you know what? There's no shame in hiring a PR guy, hiring a social media manager. There are YouTubers with like 10,000 subs who have social media managers. You're a billionaire. Get a social media manager. Get off Twitter. It's not helping your brand any. I don't know if he wants to be a character on TV, but he would not make a good one. He needs to take a step back. As the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're not writing the plays. You're not coming up with the plays. You pay a coach to do that. He needs to have that approach to wrestling. He's the guy also said he knows more about wrestling than Ted Turner, which is not true. And he's smoking that Meltzer pack, and I don't hate Meltzer, or sniffing that Meltzer pack allegedly. And he's got himself so much hype that he feels insulated against any criticism. He thinks any criticism, you must be a WWE bot, you must be this, and I'm not just here to bash him. I'm here to learn. This is why I don't have my own Twitter. I do have an Instagram and a TikTok, but I don't have a Twitter for this reason. It's very easy to get caught up in that negative feedback loop just as quick as that positive feedback loop. It's sad. I want AEW to succeed. I want both companies to succeed. I would like for a boom period to start off. There's still some interesting things in wrestling. That's why I'm even covering it. But I would like for a boom period to start off. So hopefully he can hire a social media guy, hire another guy to deal with a lot of personalities, because clearly he's not doing a good job at that. There's a reason, people talk about CM Punk or recently Jade Cargill or Cody. Don't forget, William Regal left almost immediately after starting there. A lot of people have left or had issues, and it's not just CM Punk, it's not just Jade Cargill, it's not just Cody, it's not just Brian Pillman, who recently went over to NXT as Lexus King with a cool promo. It's a lot of people, and there's an issue with organization there. So it's okay, it's all right to accept failure, accept that you're making mistakes, and correct them. And hopefully Tony Khan can do that. Have no faith in him doing that, because he seems like he hates any criticism, and you must be a hater, and you must be this. Can't even have a conversation with Ariel Helwani. He seems like he's not in reality. But what do you think after that long rant? I totally missed the 10-minute mark, so hopefully someone actually watches this video. In any event, if you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. But even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night and God bless. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.